Hello there. Welcome back to fishandrod.blogspot.com. We're going to do another pike fly for you today. This particular pike fly we're going to do today is called the Barto-Minnow, and it is a great fly. It was originated in the for smallmouth bass primarily, or bass I guess, primarily in the Midwestern part of the United States, and it's a very popular fly for bass. I use it for pike. There's a very good video on YouTube of its originator, Bart Landwehr, tying the fly. The only reason I'm doing another video is because I do a few things a little differently. I change a few things just slightly. The overall design of the fly is pretty much the same. The overall appearance of the fly is pretty much the same. Excuse me. But there are a few things I've changed with the fly to make it more durable. I just find that pike are that much more destructive than any other freshwater game fish I've ever come across. And even though the original fly in its original design was more than durable enough to fish for bass or trout or anything like that, you fish it for pike and it starts to come apart. But it's a great fly. The design of the fly is great, and it fits into my needs for pike fishing, which is, have a durable fly, have an interchangeable fly that you can tie in different color combinations. It's not restricted to just one color combination or one size. This fly you can upsize or downsize. You can do all sorts of different things with it. It's also fairly simple to tie. So we're going to get right to it here. We'll use our red thread again. We're always tying with red thread. I just don't see the need to match the color of the thread to the color of the fly when it comes to pike anyways, unless I'm tying it for, if you were tying them for commercial use for sale, you might want to do something like that, but I just tie flies for myself. So I like to get some red in the fly, and having red thread gets some red in the fly without me having to go to great lengths to find other materials and tie other materials in. The base of our tail is going to be bucktail again. This time it'll be white, just because the coloration of this fly is going to be such that it would imitate a lake whitefish or a cisco. Those are the predominant bait fish in my neck of the woods. So that's what I tie for. But you get, because it's a very versatile fly, you can just alter the colors of your material, and you can make this fly any color you want. That's what's so great about it. It's why I like the coon bait fish fly, and it's why I like the Barto-Minnow fly. So white bucktail for our base of our tail, and we'll just cut off a hank of that. And again, I always cut it as long as I can. I try to get a bucktail with the longest fibers I can, because you can always cut them down to shorten the tail. You can never make them longer. So we want this fly to be, even though we're downsizing this fly from the coon baitfish, we still want this fly to be, I want my tail to be at least double the length of my fly. So if I have my hook shank, I want my tail to be at least double the length of my hook. And then I'll tie that in. Just like that. A little pin trap there. Pull it tight. Hold on to the bucktail so it doesn't rotate too much around the hook. It's okay if it distributes itself a bit around the shank of the hook. We just don't want to do too much of that. And then what I do is I just bind down my tag ends. The tag end of the deer hair. I don't bother trimming the deer hair off. One of the things about this fly is that if you watch the original tie with Bart, he's very concerned about building up too much bulk on the fly. He doesn't want to build up too much bulk, which is fair enough for fishing for trout or fishing for bass. You want the fly to be a little more streamlined. This is pike fishing, and we don't mind a bigger, bulkier fly. That's not a problem. So I don't bother trimming off anything. I just tie everything down. It adds some bulk to the shank of the hook, and it works great. Now the second part of the tail is the flash. And normally, again, the way the fly was originally tied, he used two flashes and combined them. One was a metallic silver metallic flake. I usually have the metallic flake Flashabou, and the other was the the original colored Flashabou, the clear, just holographic or prismatic Flashabou. and you would combine those two and use those in the tail. But Flashabou has started to make, they've kind of added another line to their Flashabou line. They have the saltwater Flashabou and they have the regular Flashabou, and now they have this Magnum Flashabou. And in the Magnum Flashabou, they actually make it with this, with the regular sort of holographic prismatic color and the metal flake color combined in one shank. So I just get this stuff now. The other thing that's nice about this Magnum Flashabou is it's twice as long as a regular. See, there's the regular Flashabou, one full strand of it, and it's equal to 1/2 of the Magnum Flashabou. So, excuse me again. So I just buy this stuff now. It's already combined for me, so I don't need to worry about combining it. We cut off some Flashabou like that. Now what you want to do is take your Flashabou at the midpoint, roughly, so you want half of that hank, and lay it right over top of your thread and fold it over your thread, just like that. Fold it over your thread and then bring it down and tie it in to the top of your fly. I got that a little too far back. There we go. That's about where I want it, just like that. Tie that into the top of your fly. Now, if you didn't get it on that particular time, as soon as I tied it in, it kind of evenly distributed itself around the deer hair. But if you didn't, just put a couple of loose wraps on it and then just use your fingers and move it so that it does distribute itself nice and evenly along the top of the bucktail. And then we want this to be just slightly longer than our bucktail, so I usually cut it off about 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch longer than the bucktail that I tied in. Now the reason we've tied it in like that, folded it over our folded Flashabou over the thread and then bound it down, is I've found sometimes when you're fishing for pike, normally you just tie the Flashabou in flat. You lay it in and you tie it down. And what I've found is that Flashabou has a tendency sometimes, because it's so soft and kind of just supple, just like thin pieces of tin foil, it'll get tangled into the pike's teeth. When the pike hit this fly, this stuff will get wound into their teeth, and even extracting the hook, or even when they're fighting, they have a tendency sometimes just to yank. This gets tangled and it yanks right out. And I've had that Flashabou, when it's tied in flat, bound down flat, it'll just yank right out. So I like the fact that we fold it over the thread and tie it down. Now there's no way this stuff's getting pulled out of the fly. Now I usually add some more glue or cement or whatever at this point in time, just to add some more durability to the fly and really make sure everything stays where it's supposed to stay and doesn't rotate a lot on us around the hook shank. We're tying a lot of materials onto the hook shank, and that sometimes has a tendency to want to rotate when you do that. I find adding glue in between steps, number one, makes the fly way more durable, and number two, it just gives you, it stops the materials from rotating so much around the hook shank.